Hello and welcome to Band in a Box 2025 for Windows. This video is part of our Bootcamp series of videos where we take a particular task in Band in a Box and show you how it's done, and also show off new features in the program along the way. So in this video, I'm going to show off the new stem splitter feature. This amazing AI-powered tool separates an audio file of a song containing multiple instruments into individual tracks: bass, drums, guitars and piano, vocals, and residual sounds. Using advanced AI and machine learning technology, this process, also known as audio source separation, offers greater flexibility and creative control in music production. So in this video, I'm first going to show you the stem splitter in its most basic form with the stem splitter player in Band in a Box. Then I'm going to get more in depth and use an older feature called the audio chord wizard to create a tempo map for a song, get chords for the song, and then use the stem splitter. Then I'll be able to do cool things with the stems, such as use the vocal track from the song, along with Band in a Box styles, creating cool remixes of the original song. I'll be doing all of this with some tutorial files that we include with Band in a Box 2025, so you can recreate exactly what I'm doing here on your own with those files, or with any audio file you have, like your favorite song. So to start with, I'll go to the File menu, Open Special, and you can see there are two new items here relating to this feature. Open using Stem Splitter. That actually puts the source audio track and the stems onto separate tracks in Band in a Box. I'll be using this a little later when I get to the more advanced part of the video. But for now, I'm going to use the other option, Open Stem Splitter Player. And that opens this Stem Splitter Player. What it's actually done is applied this as a plugin on the melody track. So for this, I'm just going to be using this to split an audio file and then just play the stems through this player. I'm not actually going to be using any Band in a Box tracks or anything. If I was using it to sync up to Band in a Box, these two settings would be applicable: after count in and this sync button. The sync button means that playback in Band in a Box will automatically start playback in this player as well. After count in would make it so that the audio wouldn't start until bar 1 of the song. But those buttons aren't really applicable for me here because I'm just going to be using the play and stop buttons within the player itself for this demonstration. So now I'm going to open up a file that we can use to check this out. And you can see that we have some files provided here that you can try out as well. And they're located in your main Band in a Box folder, then in Documentations, Tutorials, Tutorial BB 2025. So I think I will try out this song here called The Breeze. So now there are some other options here before I actually split this file. The process to convert an entire song doesn't take that long, but it's certainly quicker to process a shorter amount. So since I'm just doing it for this demo, I will pick 60 seconds. Then when I start playing it, after those 60 seconds are up, I'll want it to automatically start from the beginning again, so I will enable loop. Here are the stems it's going to create with a check beside each. If you don't want all the stems, you can remove checks here, but I do want all of them. So I'll just go ahead and press split. So there you go. I only had it process 1 minute of the actual song, and that took 6 seconds to process. The whole song, I think, is about 4 minutes, so even that would have taken less than 30 seconds probably. All right, so now I'm going to press play right here in the player, and then I'm going to solo some of the individual stems that have been extracted from that audio file. And as I solo each track, you can hear what's on that track. For example, bass, drums, guitars, pianos, and other similar instruments can be heard on this track. Vocals.
Afraid of nothing. Has a wealth of time.
And then this residual track is all of the sounds that remained once these other elements were extracted. It's not a particularly useful track on its own, but if I solo all the other tracks, and you can solo multiple tracks by right-clicking, Then when the residual track is added, that now makes this combination basically exactly like the original source, which I can also play by soloing that. And you can see it reached the 60-second mark, so it's now just automatically looping back to the beginning.
Just a young man running, feeling ain't afraid of nothing, has a wealth of time, family sends and photographs, and letters wishing he would hurry back.
And now I'll show you a few other things in this dialogue. First of all, I'm going to add this to the stems player library. That puts this song in this list below here. And another thing I could do is select a whole folder of songs and have it automatically split them, which will then also automatically add them to my library. So now I'm going to look at another way to use the stems, and that is to actually have stems on tracks right in Banana Box rather than using the stems player. So before doing the stems in the program itself, we're going to revisit a much older feature in Banana Box, but an amazing one, the audio chord wizard. What I'm going to do here is take an audio file that was not recorded to a click track, so it speeds up a little from the start of the file to the end of the file. I'm going to use the audio chord wizard to sync the bars in Banana Box to match that audio, and then I'm going to use that same audio chord wizard feature to figure out the chords for the song. I'll then use the stem splitter, and we'll then have the stems playing in sync with Banana Box with the correct chord showing. And then the fun part comes in. I'll then use some of the stems, but I'll pick a Banana Box style, so I'll be using those tracks along with the song. So for example, maybe I'll have the original vocals and bass from that song playing along with Banana Box, drums, guitars, keys, etc. So right in Banana Box now, I'm going to open another file from that tutorials folder. Now we can see here that last song that I opened, The Breeze, these are actually the stems files that it created for those. But for this demonstration now, I'm going to pick a different song, Susquehanna River. Right now, of course, it's not synced up at all to Banana Box, so I'm going to solo that track. Also, when I'm using the audio chord wizard, I like to use a special style that's very useful for this, a plain old metronome style. I'll go to Views, ACW, which stands for Audio Chord Wizard, and now I'll play a little bit of the song. So now I have to start adding bar lines to this song so that it syncs up to Banana Box, or rather so that Banana Box syncs up to the song. Now you can add bar lines in this area here by pressing this Add Bar Line button. And I'll play the first part again. And you can hear there's a little bit of a pickup here, but the bar line occurs here, so I'll press the Add Bar Line button. And you can see there's an L on the button. That means the L key on my keyboard is a hotkey for adding bar lines. And you can add the bar lines by just clicking on different parts of the waveform and typing L, or you can add them during playback, also by typing L in time to the song. I'll let it play and I'll add some bar lines while it's playing. So I stop now, and you can see that it's added those bar lines, but if you look closely, particularly at beats 2 and 4 of the bars I entered, it's not very precise. For example, I'll zoom into beat 2 of the second bar, and you can see this peak represents where the snare is hit at beat 2. And with the bars I entered, beat 2 ends up being considerably later than where the snare is hit. So the method of playing the song and tapping L in time on your keyboard certainly can be done, but for myself, I prefer to enter these bar lines manually so I can be very precise, in particular to where beats 2 and 4 end up. So I'm going to go through this entire file manually like this. So first of all, I'm just going to move this bar line back to where it seems is the correct place for this bar line to be. And when I'm doing this, I'm always paying very close attention to beats 2 and 4, because those are the obvious ones. That's where the snare hits. So you can see now, beat 4 here, where the snare hits, is lining up with the grid here. And same here with beat 2. I'll do the same with this one here now. And you can see now these beats line up correctly there as well. Now what I'm going to do is turn on auto marking. What that means is it's going to take the bars I've entered here and it's just going to keep that same tempo going. So it's added these lines here just based on the tempo that's set by these ones that I added here. But you can see here already it's starting to get a little bit out of time. Beat 4 here is occurring a little bit after where the actual snare is hitting here. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go through this file and just move some of the bar lines so that all the rest of them match up. Now when I change an actual bar line here, it changes the color to purple here, meaning that's a user-entered location. The turquoise ones are all automatic. So I don't think I need to enter a user bar line like this at every bar, but if I just start going through it, if I see it start to drift off, I can move just one bar line and the others will line up. Another thing is, because I loaded that metronome style, I am now going to let the drums play. And actually, I think I'll turn the audio down a bit and I'll turn that click up here. So now I'll actually be able to hear the click along with it, which will also be helpful in determining if it's now syncing up in Band in a Box.
Take me down to Chesapeake. Oh yeah. I've been north for too long. They're trying to make a Yankee out of me.
So I'm going to look at this one here now, beat 4 at this one. It's now coming a little bit later afterwards, so I'm just going to move this one over a bit. You can see that's now lining up. And that also makes all the ones before it line up as well. So maybe every 5 or 6 bars I might change the bar line a little bit just to make sure that they're all lining up correctly. So I'll continue on.
And my sister and my friends. Oh yes. Gotta get me out of New York. Can't keep running time to make amends. Thought that I could escape my life.
So up until here it was looking pretty good. I'm just going to also now, instead of actually moving this, I'm going to right-click on it and change to user. That'll sort of make this an anchor point moving forward. So now let me go and look ahead here. And again, I'm always looking at beats 2 and 4 way more than the actual bar lines. And we can see it's now starting to drift off a little bit here. So I'm going to move this one over here, and you can see that's now made it line up there.
I was wrong. I was so wrong. You can take the boy out of the bay.
And again here, I'm just going to move it over a little bit to line it up there.
Oh, but it don't work the other way. So ancient river, what say we trickle on down? Oh,
I'm going to make another anchor point here. I always like to do that every once in a while as well, just so that the next bar line I actually move, it will only move it back to this point.
we could be
And now I can tell it's already starting to drift off a little bit, so There you go. Now these are lining up. Again, I'm specifically looking at beats 2 and 4 way more than the bar line itself.
Ain't no reason you should go alone. I wonder if Miss Cynthia will still be there. I remember when she dyed her hair, and everybody knew about the sordid love affair. Oh yeah.
Another thing is, if you make a change during playback, you have to stop briefly and start again, and then the grid will reset itself here.
Oh yeah, yeah. Mercy, now my memories are coming to me fast and clear. I don't know if I can wait till.
Again, here I'm now starting to see it drift a little bit there, so I'm going to move this a little bit over, and now it's lining up a lot better.
Wait till we get home to shed a tear.
And again, drifting a little bit here, I can see. And here too. I think speeding up a little bit. Not significantly, but let's have a look here too. At the beginning of this file, it was starting off around 84 beats per minute. A little bit, it was showing here 83.85. And then this last place that I'm at here now, it's sped up a little bit to around 87 beats per minute. A little bit off there, and that seems way more to the grid now.
You can take the boy out of the bay. Oh, but it don't work the other way.
That's one of my favorite lines of the song. You can take the boy out of the bay. Oh, but it don't work the other way. I like the way it's not just you can take the boy out of the bay, but you can't take the bay out of the boy. They kind of flip around that old kind of phrase. Anyway, I like that about this song.
Out of the bay. Oh, but it don't work the other way. You know, Susquehanna, I believe I'm getting scared. What if they don't even recognize my face when we get there? See, it's been 20 years at least, and maybe more, since I slammed my daddy's door. I was so
A little bit off there.
I was so angry.
Maybe not.
Angry now, I can't recall what for. Oh no, 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 no. Oh, decrepit river, you helped me carry on my woes. Such a good companion, so glad I don't have to go alone.
All right, so now I have the whole song lined up to the bars in Band in a Box. These red lines in the chord chart indicate tempo changes, which basically occur at every bar. I'd like to tidy up the chord chart a bit, so I'll go into the F5 bar settings dialog and opt to not display those. So now I'm going to use the chord part of Audio Chord Wizard. First of all, I'll set the key. Now, I don't have anything close to perfect pitch, but if I listen to the first bar of the first verse, which I think comes at bar 3 here. Okay, so, and if I go to a piano, okay, so key of G. So I'm going to click on this button here, which is Choose Settings for Chord Analysis. So I just figured out that the key of the song is G. And then there are some other great options here for how I want the chords to be interpreted. Pre-tune audio is just if you know a song is overall a little flat or sharp, that can help, but that's not really necessary here. And then there's an option for minimum chord duration 1 bar. I think a lot of the chords in this song are a full bar long, but there are some instances, I think, where chords change within the bar as well. I think even right at the beginning here, there's 2 chords per bar in the first couple bars, and then later in as well. So I do not want to set minimum chord duration 1 bar. The chord preset can just be set to default, and you'll get some great results with that. But sometimes you can get a bit better results with some custom options if you know a bit about chords and kind of have a good sense of the types of chords used in the song. This is mostly diatonic, so major chords, minor chords. But I could hear that there were some secondary dominant chords in there. So for example, the G chord is the 1 chord of the song, and I think there were some examples then of G7. So I'm going to pick diatonic triads and dominant sevenths. So basically that means in the key of G, it's going to limit itself to this chord set here. And now we'll just press OK, get chords. So now it's given me the chords up here, and I think I'm now done with the Audio Chord Wizard part of this. So I'll close that to just see the chords. And now I'll start going through this, and I'm going to do a few things while it's going through here. If I can tell that a chord is actually probably the wrong chord, I might make a few changes. I'll also probably add part markers just to kind of indicate where verses occur and choruses occur. There are also some bridges, and I might do something with those as well. Now this metronome style here was perfect for hearing a click along with it while I did the tempo map. But another very useful style now at this stage is this piano held style. So that means there's just going to be a piano playing kind of block chords wherever there's a chord change. And that will actually help me out quite a bit here because it'll kind of stand out like a sore thumb if it's a wrong chord that's in this chord chart here. So I will let the piano play here, and now I'll just start playing through this. So for myself, I generally like it if it's the same chord for more than 1 bar. I don't like having it displayed in the second bar. Some people do, but so that's why I just removed that second G there, just because I like to have my chord charts a little bit more tidy. So, but that's just a matter of preferences. But so far, so good. Those chords all sounded right for that little intro there. And like I said, this piano really made it obvious that they were. So I'll start there again, and then I'll just let it go through. And I also turned down the audio quite a bit so that I could hear this piano here. So just for this step here, that's sort of a good balance for me anyway, to be able to hear the chords from the piano playing the chords in the chart, and then the audio as well. So.
Trying to make a Yankee out of me.
I mean, so far so good. That sounded absolutely perfect to me. I'll continue along.
Lord, I miss my brothers and my sister and my friends. Oh yes, Gotta get me out of New York. Can't keep running time to make a make.
Now I think there it did the same thing as that. So that's the first time I actually do want to make a change there. And I'd probably just call this the D rather than D7 there.
Can't keep running time to make a mess.
And that sounded like a G7 chord to me. So, oops, not F7, G7. So, I mean, G would be perfectly fine there too, but I think it was a G7, so I'll change it to there. Now, when you're in a bar, you can type P to toggle the part marker here. So this is now the chorus, so I put a B part marker. Okay, so there clearly was a wrong chord. So that's the first one that was actually kind of wrong. Still pretty good for the audio chord wizard that up until this point it was almost perfect. So yeah, I think it was an A minor. Let's see if that works now. I'll make that a G7 as well. That I think was wrong as well. I think that's C for the whole bar. That I think this could be considered just D or D7 throughout the entire two bars with just a descending bass line, which is then understandable why I put B minor there. Or it could also be considered D and then B minor, but I think it would then go to D here. So either of those, they're probably different interpretation for this part that are correct, but I think this might be. And I think this thing where it did A minor, D, and then A minor also occurred here as well. So I'll do that. There's a part marker here already, just because that's sort of the default thing that Band in a Box does. So there was no reason for that, so I'll remove that.
No reason you should go alone.
Okay, so now this part is a bridge, and so far it's just toggling between A and B, but there is something else you can do here, and that is define C and D using the same style for display purposes. So if I do that, then I can now toggle through and I get a C and a D option. So since this is a bridge, I'll call it a C. One thing you have to remember if you're going to do this is that what it's basically doing is making a style change, but it just happens to be changing it to the same style. If you then later on actually select a different style, it's going to go back to that piano held here. So you have to keep that in mind, but it is very useful for just to be able to have an indicator for a new section like this.
I wonder if Miss Cynthia will still be there. I remember when she dyed her hair.
I'd call that G7 there.
Everybody knew about the sordid love.
That I think was wrong. Let me just turn off the piano there for a second.
Everybody knew about the sordid.
So it's calling it a C7. But I think it's actually a C minor. So kind of a funny sound that I happen to have loaded for this on this audio track, but it certainly works for me to just try out some different pitches. So I think C minor actually might be better for that one. So again, that's one more chord that it didn't get right, but still it's doing a great job so far. Oh, and I'll turn back the piano on here. Again, I think that A minor thing is good there, and it kind of matches the rest of them there. I'll put D there so that it indicates that that's the guitar solo.
Well, I thought that I could escape my life. I was wrong. I was so wrong. You can't take the
Another one that was wrong, I think. C minor and C and A minor are very closely related chords, so it's certainly understandable that occasionally that kind of thing can happen. But great that it got the A7 here and where it happened in the chorus here as well. That's great. And that probably wouldn't have happened if I just selected diatonic chords, but because I selected secondary dominants, that it was able to put that in, which is accurate and good.
out of the bay. Oh, but it don't work the other way. You know, Susquehanna, I believe I'm getting scared.
That one, I think, then also goes to...
What if they don't even recognize my face when we get there? See, it's been 20 years at least, and maybe more, since I slammed my daddy's door. I was so angry, now I can...
Again, I think like here, because it's, again, the bridge is has C minor there, and yeah, I think that's the same thing here too.
I was so angry, now I can't recall what for. Oh no, 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 no. Oh, decrepit river, you helped me carry all my woes. Such a good companion, so glad I don't have to go alone.
And it fades out there, but I think it's just follows the same pattern there. And then I would say that's then, I'll just call this the end of the song right there. I'll also just make it so that those last bars there don't show. I'll turn that off here by not having an ending. So there you go. That is now the end of the song. So now, first of all, I'm going to save this song, and I'll call it Susquehanna River ACW. So now let's have a look at the files in that folder. First of all, the breeze. These were the stems that I made from that song earlier in the video. And now this is the file I just made, Susquehanna River ACW. And we can see here we have Susquehanna River ACW.wave. That now is the name of the file that is on this audio track. So that is specifically the file now that I want to use to make stems from this. So now I'm going to go back in here, go to Open Special. Now earlier we used Open Stem Splitter Player. Now I'm going to use Open Using Stem Splitter, audio file to separate tracks. Now there are some options here, and I'll go through them all. I want to process the whole song. The master is already in here, so I do not need to include master there. But I do want to include all the others, including residual. As I pointed out earlier, that's not a particularly useful track, But I'm a completionist, so I like to have all of the elements there that make up that initial track. I do not want to create a new song. I want it to go into this song. I do not want to disable style because kind of the point of this right now is to actually use some of these stems with some different styles. Destination track, I'll start it off with utility 1. Oh, and I haven't actually chosen the file yet, so I will choose. As I pointed out, this was the file that I want to do, Susquehanna River ACW. So it's giving me now track labels prefix based on the name of that file, but I'll just shorten that to SR. So now I will press OK, generate stems. You can see that it says it's going to take 10 to 40 seconds, so I'll just skip a little bit ahead in the video here. And now we have all of these stems on these utility tracks. Now before I play this, I want to show you another new feature. If I go Control F7, that brings up the track settings and actions dialog here. Now we can see for those new stems here, there's this new checkbox here, Change Audio Tempo. What this means is that if it's set, any tempo changes that occur within the file will cause the audio on these tracks to be stretched. But because these all come from this audio here, which is not stretched, we don't want that to occur. So because we added the stems this way, it automatically turned this off, which normally by default would be on. So if I close this now, these should all be perfectly in sync with this audio track. So let me just start it from the beginning here.
Susquehanna River, take me down to Chesapeake.
And if I go further in the file, and they're all perfectly in sync here as well. And now we have the individual stems. So let's check some of these out.
Lord, I miss my brother. Oh, yes. Gotta get me out of New York. Can't keep running time to make amends. Thought that I could escape my life. I was wrong. I was so wrong. You can take the...
All right, so now we have these stems in here. We have all the correct chords added here. They're all playing perfectly in sync. So now is the fun part. Now is where I get to try out a bunch of different styles and try them out with these stems here. Now, before I do that, I'm just going to go back here and remove C and D. So I no longer get to see that in here, that the where the bridge is and stuff like that. But at least now when I change the style, it's going to change it for the whole song. So now I'm going to enter the multi-picker by pressing F7. So now I want to find some styles that will work well with these stems here. So I'm going to add a couple of filters. First of all, I want to have styles that are going to work well at this tempo, around 85 beats per minute. So I'm just going to go in here and go tempo 85. Now the feel of this song is swing 16ths. Like if it's 85 and these are beats, 1, 2, 3, 4, then the groove is sort of dak-a-tuk-dak-a-tuk-dak-a-tuk-dak. So there's 4/16ths in each of those beats, but they're kind of swung a little bit. It's not dak-a-tuk-a-dak-a-tuk-a-dak-a. That would be even 16ths. They're kind of swung. Dak-a-tuk-a-dak-a-tuk-a-dak-a-tuk. So swing 16ths is the feel. Although, depending on which stems I'm using, that actually might not even be relevant at all, especially if I'm just using the vocals with a brand new style in Band in a Box. It's not going to matter if they're even. So actually I'm going to put a filter and just say 16ths, and it can be even 16ths or swing 16ths, I think will be fine. I'll try out a few different ones. definitely has to be 4/4. So I don't want any 3/4 styles to be chosen. And for type, right now at least, I'd like to just try real styles and not have MIDI styles showing. And I want to just check a couple things in options to make sure I have the correct options set here. So I'll go to Set Style Picker Options. And I want to make sure always change tempo to best tempo for style whenever a style is loaded is not on. I want this to be off because I don't want the style to change the tempo from this, because then the stems will no longer be synced up. So that's already off, which is what I want. And then the other thing I want on is this, and it's already on. Double click on style, plays chord sheet chords instead of pre-made demo. So when I start clicking on different styles in the style picker here, I want them to actually be playing my song so that I can hear the vocals or whatever else I have in here playing along with those different Band in a Box styles. So this is all set correctly for me, but I just want to go over that. And finally, I think I want to try out some newer styles. So if I sort by date, then the top of this list here has the newer styles. If I scroll to the bottom, you can see older styles here. But here are the newer ones. Now, when I put a tempo of 85, it put tempos that were relatively close to 85 too. But for example, I don't think I'll try out these ones that are 110 beats per minute. I'll try ones that are a little closer. 75 to 90 is good. So I'm just going to start double clicking on some of these now and see how they sound. Now I guess first I also have to unmute the actual style tracks here. And maybe for now I'll try just the vocals and see how these vocals are going to sound with just some different styles that I load in here. So I'll start off with this soft rootsy folk. Let's see how that sounds.
Susquehanna River, take me down to Chesapeake. Oh yeah, I've been north for too long. They're trying to make a Yankee.
Oh, now this was one of the ones that was a faster tempo, but actually this is sounding pretty good too, even stretched down to 84.
Lord, I miss my brothers and my sister and my friends. Oh yes, oh yes. Gotta get me out of New York. Can't keep running time to make amends.
I'll also move this down here a bit so that we can see the chords underneath it. And maybe I'll try something else.
I was so wrong. You can take the boy out of the bay. Oh, but it don't work the other way. So
You know what? I'm going to try now muting the bass and the style, and let's hear the bass and the vocals from this original coming in here.
We could be companions. Ain't no reason you should go alone. I wonder if Miss Cynthia will still be there. I remember when she dyed her hair, and everybody knew about the sword and love affair. Oh yeah, Susquehanna River, take me down to Chesapeake. Oh yeah, I've been north for too long. They're trying to make a Yankee out of me. Susquehanna River, take me down.
So there you go. Lots of different combinations, different styles and genres. It's so much fun. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you enjoy the amazing new features in Band in a Box 2025 for Windows.